This video is continuing on from the last one that I did about glass straws, where I kind of stopped at the end and I didn't really talk about decorating the straws at all. So in order to entertain your customers, it's good to have straws with different kinds of decorations on them that people can choose from. And the important part of this is these decorations have to be melted in really good. You can't just plop them on the surface. Alright, I'm going to make a simple straw like this one, just with 5 dots on it, on a 9.5mm tube. So I want a kind of sharp flame like that. I don't want a bushy flame that's got a lot of turbulence in it because I need precision, right? I need to be able to put the tube at the edge of the flame without having it in the flame. So I need to be able to get that right there, and I don't want the flame blowing onto it accidentally. Right? So get yourself a nice soft flame, and I think that's probably the biggest mistake that I made early on with working with Boro tubing is I thought I needed to have a huge raging flame for everything. You don't. So just a very small flame, warming up the tubing here just to get it up to temperature so that it doesn't crack. But I'm not going to warm it up so much that it glows or starts to bend or starts to even melt on the surface. So now, once I'm kind of satisfied with that, I'm going to come in with my color rod and just heat up a spot and tack on a very tiny dot. So that's not even tacked down, and if I want to get rid of that, I can just scrape it off with tweezers and it comes right off. So I don't even know where that was. But yeah, so come in and tack down little dots that are just, these are just markers. And I'm just kind of heating the tube a little bit under where I want to go, and then coming in with my little dot. So now, if I like where those are, and those are pretty much exactly where I want them. But yeah, if I like where those are, then I come in and I hit that little dot with the flame and warm up that spot. Then I come in with my color rod, plunk down a good sized dot. Then I melt in that dot right away, just by hitting the dot only on the edge of the flame. Right now, sometimes I put the tube through the flame, but mostly I'm just warming up that dot kind of by itself. So there we go. That one's done. So then the next one, I want a little bit to the left of where I have it, so basically warm up the rod to a little bit to the left of that dot. Come down. Want a little bit more glass. There we go, that one's good. So this next one, again, I want to go a little bit to the left of where I had it. So warming up that spot, coming in with my color rod, then melt it in. You know, as long as you hit this dot from all sides, get it nice and hot, you're going to get the outside wall of the tubing pretty hot. but the heat's not penetrating to the inside wall really. And that's why your straw doesn't collapse on you. So again, heat the dot. Come in with your color. Melt it in. Alright. Now do the last one. I want it a little farther from where it was. So there we go. And notice that I'm like, I have this hand resting on the table, but I have this hand resting on the marber a lot when I come in with my color rod. So just make sure your hands are resting on something. That'll help you plunk down those dots in the right spot. Yeah, so go ahead and melt those in. That last one there. It's being a little stubborn, so I'm gonna hit it solid straight on just for a second. So you can do that, but just for a second. Now I want to make the middle dot a little bit bigger. There we go. So there we go. That method is pretty simple. And you do want your dots melted in just like that. Let's see. Can I make the camera focus? So here's a nice blue stringer. Gonna go ahead and for the second demo, gonna make one that's like this, where it's got a lot of stringer drawing on it, and you're gonna need to do a lot of melting. So I take a slightly different approach for these, right? I'm gonna warm it up again, this time slightly bigger flame. And I'm just warming up that area where I want to do my stringer drawing. And that's just because, you know, if this is cold, the stringer won't stick down. It'll start popping off on you. Or it just won't stick at all. So then I'm coming in at the edge of the flame, heating up the stringer. And I'm just going to kind of draw on a random design. Good for your stringer drawing practice too. Obviously. So once you got your pattern on there, like whatever you want, you know, I'm gonna put some dots in here too. Tiny ones. Like little pixie dots. Could almost do this with grit. And I'm just kind of doing that to fill in the space. And oops. So that's what I have there. I basically have, you know, a bunch of lines and dots, but they're just sitting up on the surface. Now if I left out like that, those would fall off, definitely. So what I need to do is come in here and melt those in. Now you can try to melt them in, you know, one side and then the other side, but I just think that takes too much time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up my flame a little bit. I'm just going to come in and with my paddle and my flame, I'm just going to push these down. Then I'm just going to kind of come in and heat up the whole thing. Oh, still got to push that down a little bit. Now the straw is going to get floppy here, and it's not going to be straight. I'm rotating at the right speed to keep it straight, right? Like if I see it getting off, pause a little bit, you can slow down your rotation, let it hang, let it droop. But I'm basically just melting the whole dang thing. And now with heavy wall tubing, you should be able to do this and keep it under control. If it's getting out of control on you, then you're probably using too much fire. Yeah, so come out of the flame and let it straighten out. You have to come in at both angles. So this is just a heat control exercise. Don't overthink this. You're just warming in the decoration and keeping the straw straight. If things get too floppy on you, come out of the flame. Like really work on that. Work on your instinct to come out of the flame. Like that was one of my things that my instructor mentioned to me early on. Is she was like, "Oh, you have that instinct to come out of the flame. That's good." She says a lot of people don't have that, and I know that sometimes when I'm really concentrating on something, sometimes I'll forget, and I'll just be roasting the hell out of something, and I kind of didn't realize it, right? And I needed to come out of the flame, but I didn't. So I straightened it a little funny because I wasn't holding it all the way up there. But you can almost always fix that. Yep, that looks good. So that is melted in really good. Like, it's almost a texture, you know, it's not really even lines on the surface anymore. It's totally melted into the outer wall. So, you know, there's different approaches to this, and what I show in this video is not everything either. There's a lot more other ways you can do this. Some people on Facebook were suggesting make a big straw out of a 1-inch tube and then pull it down to 9mm. That's a possibility. And what that would do is that would stretch out your decoration. But you would have to work with a pretty thick wall to get a good thick straw doing that. So I don't like the way that it's got kind of a bump on one side. So what I'm going to kind of do is just fix that with the marver. Look at it real carefully. Yeah, that looks good. That blue is pretty freaking pale though. It's not very pretty. But that's what you're going for right there. So don't be selling any janky straws, please. Make sure they're all melted in good like this. And if they are, be proud of yourself, because this isn't super easy.